So you are interested in a career in financial planning, or you want to be a financial advisor. You want to know the exact steps that you need, the skills you need to acquire, and perhaps the educational qualifications. And perhaps you are even wondering whether financial planning is a career that you should embark on. In today's video, we're going to be talking to people who are in the trenches. I have here two advisors who are fairly new in the industry and so have a very fresh perspective on their journey that led them to get their foot in the door into this very demanding yet lucrative profession. So if you are interested in becoming a financial advisor, you'll want to watch this video to the end. So, Yondela, please share with us your journey. How did you become a financial advisor? What was the journey for you?
All right. So initially, I had studied management accounting, and in my thoughts, I really wanted to, obviously get into that space. And I studied. I did my, undergrad, and then I did, my postgrad there. But then, I met a someone within the financial planning industry, and he shared with me, these, dreams and these wonderful things that you can actually do to help people in the financial planning space. So I ended up working with this gentleman, and he obviously pushed me to study my postgrad, and I did my postgrad in financial planning. And as I started studying a bit more about what financial planning was, I really became excited, and I thought I'd actually be able to add value to people's lives. And while that was happening, my mom had just retired, and someone had told her what to do, and the person gave her very bad advice, and she lost within 2-3 years all of her money. And I decided, this is a career I really want to pursue, and having this this push, and having a people like push me saying, this is something you should look into. So I started, really looking into it. I worked with this gentleman, and then I wanted to obviously learn what's happening in other spaces within financial planning. So I joined a program with Asisa, and I was placed in an IFA. An IFA is an independent financial advisory firm, and I worked there in a back office. I was a paraplanner. I did quite a lot of things there. We did a bit of asset management, where we just kind of look at the asset allocation of various funds, and we did nice research. But I really wanted to be client facing, because I felt like, I'm at the back, I'm in the trenches, but the different types of trenches. So I left there. I went to PSG Wealth, and it was also exciting there. I was an investment specialist, and we worked in offshore trading platforms, onshore trading platforms. We did derivatives. It was an exciting part of financial planning that not a lot of people know about or not even explore. So it was mainly investments. But then again, I found myself really wanting to be client facing. So I came down to PE, and I find myself in this brown chair.
Very interesting. So you mentioned quite a lot of things that maybe some of our viewers may not be familiar with some of the terminology. But just to break it down a little bit more, so how did you get your foot in the door? What would you say was the one thing that you would say got you to become a financial planner and to be considered for a role within the company that you're in right now?
Interesting question. Probably have to ask the people who hired me. But I think, fundamentally, I think what's important is understanding that, why you're here, what the role entails, because I think people get swayed and lured in by the lucrativeness that people always talk about, but then no one tells them that, there's a lot of nights that you don't sleep, there's a lot of hard work involved, so I think for me, the one thing, that, I think people liked is I was really authentic and I was true to my story, because I really wanted to help. Because I see that a lot of young, African professionals are very underadvised, A lot of African people, Black people especially, no one really speaks to them, on how their financial planning journey should be. And so I want to be that person. I want to be the Steve Jobs of financial planning, or the Steve Biko of financial planning, so that people know where to look for proper advice, a premium service, and not just funeral plans that are bombarded on our people. So I think when people, or the managers or the people that interviewed me, they saw that I was intentional with what I wanted to do. And so I think maybe that kind of set me apart from the rest of the applicants.
Okay, thank you. And so looking back, what would you advise yourself as you were preparing for a journey or a career in financial planning? You are sitting as a student, you're studying financial planning, or you're doing accounting and you're considering a career in financial planning. Now that you know what you know, what would you say to yourself in order to best prepare for a career in financial planning? Or what should a student be doing right now who's considering a career, or someone who's considering transitioning from a different career into financial planning?
Good question. So I think looking back, I see obviously the general populace always speaks about the immediate returns and how great these things are, and that cannot be your only motivator. You obviously do want to put money in your pocket, you do want to provide for your family, but I mean, looking back, I think I would have told my 5 years self and said, understand that you are going to work. It is not it's not like an office job where you go to an office and you perform tasks that you've been given, and the clearly defined deliverables that you must meet. And after you've met them, you're fine. And you wait for your paycheck. It's a very interesting job, because it's not even a job. I don't want to say a calling, but it's something that requires you to truly understand what it is that you're doing, because you're dealing with people's livelihoods. You're dealing with people's, generational, wealth. You can make a decision, or help a person make a decision that will be a decision that will bless generations to come. So now, if you understand that you are at the forefront of helping people move out of, poverty, out of, debt, and you are the catalyst for that. And I think that's what I would have told my younger self is, understand the weight of your calling, of the job you are coming into. And if that clicks, you will move heaven and earth, to do right by people.
Yeah. I think I kind of get what you're saying. In essence, you're saying, since you're dealing with people's livelihood, it carries a great sense of responsibility, unlike, other careers or professions out there. And as you explained with the issue with your mom, how, bad advice had a severe, disastrous impact. So thank you for your comments there. Let's give Mihlali an opportunity to share her journey and her thoughts.
Well, for me, I was never exposed much into financial planning, to be honest, prior to me embarking on this journey. I was just fresh out of school, and I was doing my BCom accounting. So when I was looking at what I could do, auditing is the one that caught my eye. And then financial planning was one of the things that were there that I could be able to do. But honestly, I was never exposed to it, so I don't know what exactly it entailed. So how the whole financial planning journey came is I got a call from a lady, and she was like, "Can you be my PA?" So fresh out of school, we know how tough it is to get a job. And for me, I was not so fussy about this is what I want to do and I'm only going to settle for that. I was like, you know what, anything that's going to get me closer to where I need to get, I'm going to do. So I was being a PA of a financial advisor, it's still within the field. So it's putting me a step closer to where I need to get. So I was like, okay, cool. And funny enough, the position required me to relocate from Joburg, and it was paying 4K. And I was like, okay, the income won't be enough for me to leave. To survive in this new place, but because of the opportunity, I will take it and I will run with it. Because what I had in my mind was I need to just get my foot in, because it's really not that easy. And then I became a PA for about 2 or 3 months. And the financial advisor that I was a PA for was like, why don't you become a financial advisor? Because you're really good and you're grasping these products very easily. Like, I can see that you're learning and you're still eager to learn. And I feel like holding you here and making you be my PA, I'm holding you back. You have the qualifications and I can see that you have the mind and you want to learn. And then she made a referral and then I was invited for an interview. And already I was falling in love, to be honest, with the role of being a financial planner, because I was now seeing what it entails, what you get to do for the people. And one thing that financial advisor stood for was she wanted to uplift the Black society. She wanted the Black society to have information that it lacked. And I would see even from the clients that would come to the office that they lacked certain information. So she would always fill those gaps. And I was like, yo, okay, this I can do. But I was still not sure. I don't want to lie. Till my interview, I was still not sure. But I was like, you know what? And then I went for my interview. Everything went well. I started now on my journey. All I'll say is that financial planning is not a job, it's a career. You don't just sign that contract and then your money comes in. And another thing, during my interview, one thing that got me the job was my interviewer said to me, Mihlali, I will not take you because of your qualifications. I will take you because you are eager to learn. And this role requires someone that wants to learn. Someone that wants to really push themselves, because really it's a job that requires you to push yourself. So that's how my journey has came about, and it has been phenomenal right through. It keeps on coming with surprise. Sometimes it surprises me too, and it's still a journey. I'm still learning. It's 3 years. The reason why I'm saying 3 years is because I've been around in the finance field.
Sure.
Even while I was at school, I used to do part-time jobs so that I have that experience. Because for me to be able to knock at this company that I'm working at now, I used that part-time experience that experience that I received from my part-time jobs.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. And I think very valuable insights that you shared. And I gather that your exposure as a PA to the role of financial planning was the real catalyst that shaped your mindset in terms of how you approach, your role as a financial advisor. Would that be correct?
That was.
So what would you say to a student sitting, considering a career in financial planning? What would you say would be the best way to prepare and to have the best possible chance to be accepted in one of these financial services organizations as a financial planner?
For me, I would say character. Yes, what we study. Yes, if you study towards a degree, it's going to help you. But most importantly, what we lack as the youth of now and the kids of now is that we come out of school feeling we're cocky and we're like, you know what, I studied and this position, I deserve it. And it's really just about having a decent character and everything. Yes, your qualifications will help, but have a decent character most importantly, and be open-minded.
Wow, could you define that a little bit more? What do you mean when you say a decent? I think most people think they have decent characters, but can you, like, in the context of the role of financial advisor, what does that mean?
The role of being a financial advisor, it's more about the client. So you need to have a heart that can put yourself in the shoes of the clients. For instance, we will have times where you have to do claims. If you're not kind and not caring and you can't relate to somebody, you're not going to be able to understand or make the client understand. It's your responsibility to keep the client calm in situations. I mean, you'll be dealing with life covers and you'll be dealing with very crucial parts of you. It's your responsibility to make that client calm. So if you're a person that's like, I did my job and I'm just done, and you're not willing to go an extra mile, then you're really not going to be successful in this industry, because now you're too I don't know how to put it.
Sure.
Yeah. So hence I say it's mainly about character, because you'll be dealing with human beings and different characters. So you can't say, you need to be able to adjust. You need to be able to relate.
Sure.
From time.
Maybe same question that I asked Yondela earlier is, what do you think got you inside the door to become a financial planner?
I would say it's my role as the PA, because now I came in with more information. So I was able to I already understood the dynamics of what is expected of me. And I had already taken my time even before the interview to think, am I going to be able to give what is expected of me? Because the role is not a job. You need to be able to give and wake up and give. My manager normally says, this is a marriage, and you wake up and choose to get married. So financial advising will require you to make that decision every day. You wake up and say, you know what, I chose marriage. You feel like going out and partying for that weekend, you'd be like, yo, I need to stay at home because I chose this marriage with this job. And yeah.
Wow, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So hopefully you're getting valuable insights there. And from what I gather, is you need to expose yourself to the industry, or at least people who are already, in the industry, to get like a proper context or understanding, rather than a theoretical kind of knowledge, of the profession. Well, thank you. Thank you. Let's get back to you, Yondela. Now that you are in the industry, what was your first 3 months like?
Yeah, so I mean, we did a lot of training, trying to get to know systems, and just trying to understand. But then you quickly realize everything that you learned at school is useless.
Okay.
This whole textbook we had, I mean, we had a big textbook, and you realize, trying to condense a textbook into a conversation with a client, is a totally different ball game. So I think my first reality was, understanding the transition between the theoretical stuff and the reality of what it is that you're dealing with. I think Mihlali spoke to, maybe talking to someone about, like, let's say, like a death claim. So those soft skills are not taught in a textbook. How you are empathetic to people, and how you, so I had to quickly, put those on ice, because now in the textbook it's going to talk about, 3 million rand, holiday home, whereas people are in debt and they're trying to figure out how to get out of a tight situation. And so practically you have to help them with a budget, and I mean, so I had to quickly readjust. So my 3 months, I think, was a nice learning, curve to say, okay, so how then do you practically, bring those things that you've learned into people's realities? And yeah, that was something, a nice mind shift, a nice paradigm shift, of which I enjoyed.
Sure. So what was the biggest adjustment, if you can think, during that journey? What would you say was the most difficult thing that you had to overcome or adjust to?
Yeah, so I think the one thing, I mean, I'm still struggling with it now, is, putting myself out there. I think that's because obviously, I mean, I've worked and I've always just had to sit and I had to do my job. But now, in order for me to earn a living, requires me now to go out and speak to people and put myself in sometimes situations where I feel like I shouldn't be putting myself in, and trying to, tell people why they need certain things, because it is not apparent. So for example, if someone needs a home loan, it is apparent that they must now go to a bank and they must get a home loan. It is a very apparent need. So people go to the bank, so now, but like, people don't think about their 65-year-old self, where they need to be saving for retirement. So now they need someone who will now mediate that apparent need that might not be apparent now. So now that's the thing. Now I'm trying to, get my mind to accept that I need to be that person to say, you do need retirement. You do need a retirement plan. You do need, some form of, financial plan in place to help you, and that's a tough thing to do, and so I think that's that initial time, trying to get rid of that hurdle has been tough, because you face a lot of rejection, and it's not easy. So, but you just somehow need to just swim through it, and sometimes you don't want to swim. Sometimes you don't choose the marriage. You divorce it, but then you realize you have to eat. So it's that's my one thing.
Thank you. Mihlali, your first 3 months?
I'm going to dwell more on my first 3 months, but after training, because really during training, nothing much. It was just product knowledge and training, basically. So to be honest with you, I was nervous. I was scared. I was like, God, am I going to reach target? Am I going to... Because it's putting yourself out there, and that's when you start realizing, yes, we had Project 100 to start there. But honestly,
can you explain what is that?
So Project 100 is, you have to write a list of 100 people. that are potential clients. And only top 10 of those must be people that you've called just to give them a heads up that, hey, I'm going to be a financial planner in the next couple of months. Would you be interested that I call you when I'm officially what? So I went to my project 100, to the top 10 that I have spoken to.
So you actually acquired a list of 100 people before you started in the role?
Yes, before you even start in the role.
Okay.
Yeah, so you have to go out there and literally come up with 100 names that are potential clients.
Yeah.
But 10 of those you need to have spoken to.
Okay.
Not to sell, but just to give them a heads up that, hey, I'm going to be a financial planner. That's strictly. So I went to my project 100, my top 10. Hey, some of them were like, no, sis, not now, man. I'm going to speak to you next week. Hey, first month I was like, okay, no, I'm not going to reach target here. And then an idea came to my head. I was like, okay, you know what? Let me just post an advert on social media. So my first client was I derived that client from as a result of posting a video on social media. It was a childhood friend of mine. Childhood friend of mine. But we had not been speaking for quite some time. He's like, hey, so you're a financial planner? I'm like, yeah. He's like, do you guys do retirement annuities? Because at work, I don't have any pension fund. I don't have anything. I'm like, yes, we do. I'm like, yes, we do. Sure. He's like, okay, so what do you require from me? I'm like, okay, I need your payslip, I need your bank statement, firstly, just to see. And as I was going through then his expenses and everything, just so I can be able to advise on which amount of retirement annuity must I give. Then I noticed that he had a couple of policies there, and I was like, okay, it's not only this that we can fix, but it's also this as well. And that's how in fact I wrapped the first deal, and we still have a good communication till today. And that has my first 3 months. I don't want to lie. Every deal came as a surprise because my project 100 did not come to work at all. All those clients kept on saying, 3 months, but eventually they came through, and I think I've signed most of my clients on my project 100 now. So yeah, first 3 months was just a please God prayer every day. You were just like, oh God, please, yes. Yeah. So yeah, first 3 months I was nervous. I don't know.
Sure. Well, here you are. You clearly found a way that works for you. So. Yeah. Well done on that. Back to Yondela. So people are probably wondering, how does a financial advisor get paid? As Mihlali alluded to, many people who are studying for a degree or whatever think when they get into a role, they're going to work a certain number of hours and get paid a certain amount of money. How does it work for a financial advisor? I mean, and what was it a shock to you in terms of how the remuneration worked? Can you just briefly take us through that?
Yeah. So I think, especially coming from like a very a salary-based, position where you're earning good money and you're fine, and then you come here, and so the first thing they do is they confuse you with formulas. They tell you. They tell you that you'll earn, if you do this amount of business, this is the potential, that you could earn, and then you see these big numbers, and you're like, yeah, potentially, and then only to realize that you have, like Mihlali said, maybe like things don't come together, and that potential business is one case, thing, and then you get a commission based on what you have brought, and then you quickly realize that yes, it's about the number of people that you service and help. Then things start getting better. So it's a time thing. I think the first couple of years you're trying to figure out your market, trying to figure out your niche, trying to figure out what works for you, and during that time you struggle. But then sometimes you have really good months where things, you understand, like things just come together. People come to you. Maybe you post something on social media, or maybe you go out, with, let's say you have a key account specialist or people who actually manage, certain areas, and they say, okay, come, we'll invite you to do maybe like a wellness program, and you get there and you speak, or that person speaks, and you're able to help a lot more people, and just things come together, and then the commission now is beautiful. and you're like, I know I'm staying. The previous month you
Yeah.
had one case and you're like, that's the worst thing, that's the worst job ever. But then the next month things get better. So I think it's a time thing, because now people need to trust you. And the thing is with trust is earned, and it takes time. So you quickly realize that this is not Mickey Mouse. I mean, I wish I had like a 67,000 rand salary that was coming in every month, but then you quickly realize in order to get there, it requires work.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of this. You get what's due. So there's a lot of graft.
Yeah. And back to you, Mihlali. What was your experience like in terms of the remuneration side of things or the earning side of things? How did you navigate that or wrap your mind around?
Well, for me, because I was a PA of a financial advisor prior to taking the role, I was already exposed. So I knew what to expect, and I already as well saw how to survive. In fact, I was prepared for even the months where you go without being paid, because I had already seen that there are times where you are not going to get paid because you tried your best, but it was just not your month. But by God's grace, I have made it this far without having that month. Yes, and during the interview, for me, it was already illustrated for me. This is how it goes. So for the first 3 months, this is how it's going to go. And then from the third month going forward, strictly commission. So for me, it was easier because I already knew what to expect, honestly. Yeah, I knew Guti, you are going to chow your sweat.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you don't sweat, no chows. So yeah.
Awesome. So maybe in conclusion, could you give like advice or tips to a person who's watching this video, considering becoming a financial advisor? Maybe they're a student, maybe they are moving from a different career. What is the best preparation that they could have in order to have the best possible chance to succeed as a financial advisor?
For me, I think I would advise someone who's a student, because transitioning from another, I wouldn't really be able to relate, I think. But from a student side, I would say come open-minded and know that it's not easy. And once you get here, make it your problem to put yourself out there and if there's one thing, that financial advisor that I was working, because I remember I got a call that I must go to, I don't know if I can mention the name, but another key account that's around PE. And at the time I was in Joburg, so I was like, no, I can't make it. And then once we spoke, so I told her that, oh no, an offer like this came that I must go to another place, like to try and get business. And I was like, I could not make it, but I postponed for. And she was like, don't do that mistake. Go to every opportunity that you've been given to go at a place where you can put yourself out there. Take it, because for you did not come here with clients. You're not coming from somewhere. So you need to you need to be writing your book now. So you can't refuse any opportunity. Your personal life just needs to stop. This is your focus now up until a certain point. I mean, just last week this week actually, we were just joking, but yeah, Apa, you don't have a life. And my colleague was laughing at me. He's like, Mihlali, I'm going to speak Venezuelan. At Mihlali, ndiyakuvela uba wena you don't have kids yet. Because for us, at least we've mastered around kids. When you'll be at the labor ward and thinking teams meeting. You're not even going to have a proper maternity leave, because those clients will be telling you, Sisi, uban uswelekile, you need to process that claim. And I was like, yeah. So yeah, be prepared for that your life is going to be on hold for quite some time, up until you're building a book, Moss. So yeah,
absolutely. Maybe one last question for you, Mihlali.
Oh.
So what's the biggest check you've earned so far?
You? That's confidential.
Estimate, like,
Ballpark figure.
I'll give you gross, because if I give you take home, you start. Yondela might just come at my house. The biggest was actually just recently. I think it was.
Yeah, that's like more than most directors.
it's funny you should say that because there was a slight conversation with my mother. The thing is, I'm getting to a commitment, so I was just sharing with her how I'm going to raise the funds for that commitment. And I had to share. It's a tough one. I had to share with her my income for that month so that she can also. And I told her my income. She was like, "Ha, Mihlali, that's more than a principal is earning." So she goes around telling people that your mumtanam earns my salary, the salary combined together. And I'm like, no, girl, no, that's not true.
Yeah. But it's come with lots of sacrifices, as you've said.
Yeah.
And patience and putting your life on hold, as we have so eloquently explained. Yeah. Thank you. Yondela, the same questions. I mean, what tips would you give somebody considering a career in financial planning or becoming a financial advisor?
Don't do it. I want to look in the camera. Don't do it. Yeah, man. I think this is actually a refreshing thing to understand, to hear. A person talk about their journeys, because now I'm listening to Mihlali speak and I'm realizing we've had not the same journey, but it's very similar, and the underlying thing is it's tough. Are you willing to weather the storm? And I think I've been fortunate enough to work with people who have who've done really well for themselves, and the one thing I see with them is the average guy is waking up at 5:30, going home late. They have meetings all day long, and they would just work. And they're at a stage now in their lives where, I honestly believe true wealth is time. Deciding what to do with your time. So on Monday, I don't want to go to work. And this career gives you that option. It gives you a wealth, of time. And funny enough, it gives you a wealth of time even in the beginning, and so you have, you have a chance to write your own story, So I think, for me, if you truly want to do this, understand that it will require time. So I'm holding on to that time thing, and I'm hoping, that my fruits, my tree shall bear fruits.
Awesome. And for you, your biggest paycheck so far?
You know what? Biggest paycheck. I don't even know. I've had too many big checks. Let's call it 10,000. Let's call my big check 10,000 because all things are relative.
This guy. But anyway, thanks, guys. This was, I think, very fruitful. We appreciate your openness and willing to share your journey. And I think we'll continue in the journey, especially for those who have additional questions or require more clarity. I think we'll have some more of these sessions and maybe touch on some specific aspects of a life of a financial advisor, some tricks of the trades that these guys are learning, because they are still young and fresh, and I believe they have very fresh ideas and perspectives, and I think can be quite inspirational for those who want to embark on this journey. So in this part of the interview, I'm speaking to Andisiwe. Andisiwe is also in the trenches of this industry. She comes, however, with a different perspective, as her role is that of development manager. So she's going to explain to us exactly what a title entails, what she does, and the role that she plays in working with financial advisors, particularly those who are new to the industry or those who are perhaps don't have as much experience in the industry. So Andisiwe, please take us through your role. What do you do as a development manager, and how do you assist financial advisors?
Thank you, Zola. Let me start by explaining what is a development manager, because to the people out there, it sounds like you're in IT, it sounds like you're doing something with software. But no, I do not deal in IT, I do not deal in software. I'm very far from that. So my role is basically to source talent into the financial services industry. I source talent with experience. I source talent with no experience. I take them from day one. I instill skills. I help with knowledge transfer. Basically, taking young people, sometimes older people, from a point where they basically know nothing about the financial services industry and guide them for the first 24 months of their career to ensure that they can give ethical advice to clients in a compliant manner, and also to make sure that they build their lives and their communities' lives in a way that is sustainable. So that is my guidance. I make sure that they go through the regulations, your RE exams. I make sure that they are accredited for different products, and they're also signed off for supervision according to the legislation as well.
Wow. That sounds like a mouthful. But
It is.
From your perspective, Andisiwe, of course, we've chatted to Yondela and Mihlali, who've shared their experience coming into the industry as relatively new entrants. So what is the biggest misconception that you would say those who are new to the industry have about a career in financial planning?
Oh, the biggest misconception is that it is not, that it's impossible to be successful, or the people that are successful are of a certain profile and from a certain generation. That is the biggest misconception. And what I've found that with time and with the correct level of support and the level of skills transfer, basically, if a newcomer to the industry really applies themselves, they can make it. Removing that thinking, that obstacle, that it's not for me, it's for other people. I think that's the biggest misconception.
Wow, thanks for sharing that. And if you are now talking to a student who's studying financial planning or considering a career in financial planning, what would be your advice to them in order to have the best possible chance to get their foot in the door into this profession?
So the first advice is to study your books, pass on time, don't spend too long in university. Don't box yourself into what you are being taught. Try and learn as much as possible. If I look back at myself at the time I was a student, I would say try and associate yourself as much as possible with people that are in the industry before you finish the qualification. Do your research, find out what it is that a financial advisor does on a daily basis. Also ask to be around their work environment. The reason being is that we find that students, they finish the qualification, they passed very well, and I think you would also identify with this. They pass very well, they finish the qualification, and they, according to them, they are ready now to go into the workspace, the financial services industry. And they sit across my desk, and I speak to a young person just graduated, and they have no idea what their qualification is, what is expected of them. They get shell-shocked when I mention prospecting. And try to, that we may, as people that have already graduated from this program, that we try and insert ourselves. But I think the best way is for a student to actually take the initiative to insert themselves into the industry before they finish the qualification, so that they can understand truly what it is about. And also, just one last word of advice is that don't have expectations, because you will expect that you're going into a normal working environment with a salary and basically everything is planned out for you. But you'll find that what you can achieve, if you don't have expectations, the sky is not the limit with this industry. So don't have expectations. So just to round up, basically insert yourself in the industry, finish your qualification on time, it helps. And also just don't have expectations. Just believe in yourself. That should be the only thing that you take when you go into the working world.
Awesome. So what would you say is the biggest difference between those who succeed in the industry, those who make it, through those initial stages and even beyond the 24 months that you've talked about, and those who simply don't make it?
There are a few differences, Zola. There are a few differences. And normally, the first time I meet a person, I think I've been around long enough to see the differences. But sometimes you go with your gut and you say, you know what, let me trust the process. But the biggest difference is resilience. Okay. So the guys that do make it, the guys and girls that do make it, are highly resilient. Mm-hmm. So meaning that the shocks, the waves of the first 24 months, they can absorb them very well. They are focused in the sense that they can manage their time. They know that even though our industry doesn't set specific working times, that it is their responsibility to make sure that I wake up, I get dressed, and I have somewhere to go. So that is the difference, because you'll find that a person that doesn't make it doesn't have that focus. Sure. They will wake up whenever they wake up, and they will basically plug out because the resilience is not there, the focus is not there, the drive is not there. And also, you'll be surprised by this, because the assumption in the world that we live in is that if you are highly educated, that equals you making it.
Yeah.
But in our industry, that is not the case. That is not the case. And I always struggle to explain this point to graduates, especially that the things, your qualification is not the thing that is going to determine whether you make it.
Right.
The things that determines whether you make it is you. Sure. The sacrifice. I always say to my newcomers, this job is a marriage. And sadly, it's a marriage and community of property.
Yeah. Mihlali remember that point very well.
Yes. Sure. So it's a marriage. It's a marriage and community of property. And once you wrap your mind around that thing, that especially in the first 24 months, that you are married to this job. And it's not, also, I think I'm incorrect by calling it a job. It's a career, it's a way of life, because it doesn't stop. And once you entrench yourself fully like that, you enjoy such big successes that, as I'll repeat, the sky is not the limit. So those are the differences with people that make it and that don't make it. It's not about the how well you can read books or sure, how well you can do calculations, because when you put yourself out there to clients, it's your self-belief, your drive, your resilience that comes across to a client. Yeah. You see. So that's it in a nutshell. Yeah.
No, awesome. So can you explain now the step-by-step process for someone who's looking here and saying, okay, I think maybe I have some of the character qualities that you've just mentioned, and perhaps I can have a shot at becoming an advisor. So what steps, practical steps, would then one need to take to be able to have a shot at the door of a financial advisor opportunity?
Okay, so the practical steps, the bare minimum: have your matric, be able to converse and communicate in English. You need to display an ability to network and draw up a CV that by the time that the person is looking at it, they can sort of read who you are from it.
Okay. Can you elaborate on displaying an ability to network? What does that mean practically?
So practically, we all have lives, right? And in our lives, we find ourselves in certain groups.
Right.
So the ability to network is, how are you utilizing the different groups that you are in? And how have you elevated how you connect with your groups? So, for example, I'll make an example where we had a newcomer that was a part of a rugby club in varsity. He since graduated varsity, and he was looking to join the industry.
Right.
So in the rugby club, he had different people representing different organizations. What this guy did during his recruitment process, he approached all of those people that he was playing rugby with, knowing where they work. and sort of alerted them that he would be going into this job and he would need access to their workplaces. And there was success with some of those people. Some of them wanted him to sort of first establish himself before before they would allow him through the door. Number two, an example of ability to network. We had a lady that was also in the recruitment process, and one of the tasks that we had given her was to sort of collect a list of names for people that would be her first clients. So instead of going through her phone, she showed the ability to network by actually leaving her house, going to a military base, asking for the superior there, the whoever was in charge, and she was granted access. And through that, she then got the names of the people, and she was successful in her recruitment process. And she went back and said, now I have done the training, I have been successful in my recruitment process, can I ask for permission to come in and see the people that I had requested to see? And that is the ways that we test the ability to network. So it's how you can elevate yourself and put yourself out there and communicate what the purpose of the connecting is. Because it's very important.
No, absolutely. And thank you for explaining that so well, because I think that's a very fundamental skill set to be able to have within the career of a financial planner, because essentially you're dealing with people and you need to have a way to connect in a meaningful way, as you have explained. It can't just be relationship for the sake of relationship, but
it's when Azola, it's leveraging the relationships, and some of it can be taught, some of it can't be taught. So it's how do you leverage the relationships that you have to get what you want out of it? You might be speaking to someone who is in HR at a big company, but that person, you don't want them to be your client, or maybe they are already being serviced. But now, how do you introduce yourself as a professional, as a newcomer professional to that person, that they have faith in what you can do to invite you into their workspace to address their employees? So that is a very important skill set that you need to have in this role, because, as you said, it's a people game. It's all about people. It's all about clients. It's all about how we service our clients. And if the more people you have, and if you can build lasting, fruitful, and mutually beneficial relationships with people, you'll have a long career in this industry.
Thanks for those remarks. What would you say is the biggest adjustments that those who are new to this, now once they've entered the profession, what's the biggest adjustments that you see them having to make in order to succeed?
Definitely time management, because I think in almost everything in the world, I mean, you are given a set time to do something. In our industry, our newcomers come in, and now you have to manage your time. You have to manage how many clients you see. Obviously now, as being a mentor to newcomers, I guide as to how many appointments you need to have, how many people you need to call, and when you need to call. But ultimately, the adjustment is with the newcomer. That how do you manage your time? How do you make time to also learn about the services that you are giving to clients? So it's time management, and some of them pick it up very quickly. With some, it takes time. I think it was Yondela who was saying earlier that to him, time is wealth. To him, he will, if he can wake up on a Monday and say, I don't have to work, then he would have made it. So time becomes a very big thing as to how do you manage. And I go as far as saying to my newcomers that for every hour in the day, you need to attach a value of money that you made in that hour. So if you've spent 2 hours with a client, at the end of that conversation, was there a financial needs analysis presented to the client, or were you able to capture information in order to do a financial needs analysis? Then we can attach value to that. If there's an hour that goes by and you can't attach value to that, then that time has basically not been profitable.
Yeah.
So that is what I always try and impart. So the time is a big adjustment, because I mean, you go to school. At school, you need to be there by 8. There's break time at a certain time, and there's someone else controlling that time.
Sure.
And then now you come into the financial services industry, we say, okay, it's a career, manage your time.
Right.
So you have to be able to.
Yeah, absolutely. What is the perception of a financial advisor out there compared to what a financial planner or advisor actually does?
The perception is that you are bringing product to, well, the perception by clients of financial advisors that you are bringing products. I must part with my money, versus what a financial advisor, a good financial advisor actually does. They create that wealth. And what a financial advisor does is that they help clients set up a plan that their wealth is intact, that their wealth is growing, and their wealth is protected at all times. So once clients can sit down, do give us the time to sit down with them, to take them through what we do as financial advisors, we create a lot of value. Versus a client that does not make the time and has this perception based on what the past was like, or based on what their previous experiences was like. So I mean, I've got a financial advisor myself, and I do make time to sit down with him. And I must say I've derived a lot of value through that. I've understood exactly how my budget works. I have sort of seen where my shortfalls are, and I'm very intentional about my finances. I know I make a point of now, whenever, for example, I'm spending on entertainment, I'm aware now, okay, so this money for entertainment, if I can maybe have less of this, then it can be more of building my wealth. It can be more of sort of creating something that I can look in the future and say, you know what, that financial advisor really helped me.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Now, some people watching may be thinking, Andisiwe, times are really tough for people out there. Interest rates are going up, which is inflating the cost of living. There's a pending war in Russia and Ukraine, which is causing huge instabilities in the market. Is this the right time for somebody to consider a career in financial planning or being a financial advisor, especially in South Africa when things economically are so tough? To add to that, we have load shedding.
I definitely think this is the right time. Firstly, because our industry is an industry that has the most opportunities currently. And I'm an optimist, or the way I choose to look at things is, at this point, this is when clients really need financial advice. This is when clients really need to sit down with someone and sort of sort through their finances, because there is not a lot of free money out there. A lot of us don't have much when it comes to disposable income. Financial advisors are people that are skilled to assist clients and individuals to sort of look at the gaps in their finances, and also look at where things have maybe fallen off track, and how basically we can, as clients, get back on track. So I think, I mean, it's a great opportunity right now, versus when things are going well and everyone thinks that they're in control. They know when people have a lot of disposable income, and because at that time no one wants help.
Right.
When you've got abundance, you've got extra money, you don't want help. Like, why, So now is the time, and for clients as well, now is the time to go speak to your financial advisor, because surely there might be something in your finances that, as someone who is skilled and has gone through the training, can assist you with. It could be that there's even maybe clients that are close to retirement. Now, with the economy looking the way it looks, there's a lot of unscrupulous people that are going to look for opportunities as well. So how about now you go to someone who is who is backed by a brand, who is skilled and trained, and they can provide evidence that they have gone through the process, they know what they're doing.
Yes.
I would trust that person with my money more than
Yes.
putting it with, like, we've seen the unscrupulousness and how people were lost. Because remember, even earlier, when you were interviewing the two financial advisors, one of them alluded to how their parent lost money in 2 months, you know. So had a financial advisor been there at that time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You see, so there's a great opportunity.
Yeah, no, thanks for sharing that. How has the use or role of technology sort of altered how financial advisors do their work?
I think it has made it more seamless. I was thinking the other day, I was sitting in a meeting with a colleague from KZN. And I was thinking to myself, 3 years or 4 years ago, I would have had to fly down, or this colleague would have had to come up to see me, because otherwise we wouldn't have been able to see each other. I think technology has enabled advisors to have bigger reach. I think also it has empowered financial advisors to have a bigger skill set, because now we've got tools that are assisting us more than before technology was such a big factor in the industry. So back in the day, you would find that financial advisors had rate books and calculators. Now it's not the fact. Now we have systems that are filled with intelligence about clients that even classify a client and can actually tell us what the potential shortfalls before we can identify them. And for me, I feel that has empowered financial advisors so much in order to identify the gaps in our clients' finances. I mean, one of my advisors designed a budgeting tool on Excel. And this budgeting tool sort of, you just input numbers and it just pops out with the shortfalls just pop up in red. And that is through technology. Had that not been there, we would have been sitting writing with our pens on paper, and we know how reliable that is. Hey? So I for me, I'm embracing technology. I'm teaching my newcomers to embrace technology, and also transferring that onto clients, now empowering clients, because I mean, almost all financial services companies have a portal, a self-service portal where clients can just go onto the portal and input their values.
And now a question which everybody wants to know is the moolah. Tell us about the moolah. What can a financial advisor who's still fairly new expect to earn? Can you give us realistically speaking?
So realistically speaking, a new financial advisor can earn nothing, or they can earn, I mean, there's a newcomer last month who was earned 142,000 rand. So it's very vast differences, you know. But I know in my space, we operate on a net income of 15,000 average.
That's net. That's after
deductions. And that 142,000 was after deductions.
What? You're kidding? I want that guy's number.
It's a she. It's a she. A very young person as well. A very young person that I had the pleasure of recruiting as well.
Brilliant.
So I mean, you can earn zero. You can earn 142,000. But realistically speaking, net 15,000. That is the benchmark to sort of tick to say that we've done what we needed to do.
I mean, I think that's very rare for somebody new in your first 24 months to be earning that kind of money.
It's very rewarding, Zola. It's very rewarding. As I said, if you apply yourself, if you make the sacrifices, if you do the things that you are advised to do as a newcomer, the sky is not the limit. Just
a quick, as we're reaching the conclusion of our discussion here. So Andisiwe, how does a financial planner actually get to earn what they earn? How does the earning model actually work?
Okay. So we follow the 6-step financial planning process. So that process starts with the prospecting, information gather, we disseminate the information, we come up with recommendations, we present the recommendations to clients. So in most instances, the recommendations come with a product that the client takes up. So product houses will then pay a commission for certain products which are taken up. So there are different commission levels that are paid by product houses to the financial advisor. So, for example, we uncover a need for wealth protection.
Mm-hmm.
That would be typically a need for life cover.
Right.
Then let's say our client is a young person, healthy, 30-year-old. So that is what we would call a full-term policy.
Mm-hmm.
So for that, let's say estimate premium of 500 Rand. Just this is a very rough estimate,
Right. Yeah.
very rough. So that would attract probably a commission of about 5,000 Rand.
Mm-hmm.
So that commission now is what gets paid to the financial advisor, the intermediary, the broker, or whoever is the one giving the advice.
Mm.
On top of that, and the financial advisor has an opportunity to build income, which is your favorite now.
Right.
And you are, what is your favorite saying?
AUM, assets under management.
Yes,
Yeah.
so you are all about assets under management. Me, I'm just all about the upfront.
Yeah. Yeah.
So an advisor can build income. From doing investments, from doing retirement annuities, and also from basically second-year commissions that are attracted by risk policies.
Right.
So that is how now advisors become sustainable by building that income and basically receiving that income from the product houses at each interval of the products that are taken up by the clients. So income is derived from giving advice. The end point of that advice is a product that is taken up.
Yes.
And basically then the financial advisor receives commission.
Okay, very interesting. Now, I'm interested in becoming a financial advisor. What do I do?
What you do is you've done your research, you've done everything, you put together a CV that paints a picture of who you are and your interests and your interest in becoming a financial advisor. And this CV, you put it together, you email it to my email, andisiwe.hanabe89@gmail.com. And I look at that and I get back to you and we take it from there.
Okay, awesome. It's just as simple as that, eh?
Well, to get yourself noticed, it's as simple as that. But the process of actually becoming a financial advisor is a bit longer than that. But that is a conversation that now we pick up once the CVs are in my mailbox.
Okay.
Yes.
So now I've sent you my CV. What are the things that will get you to notice me?
Minimum requirement is metric. After matric, you should have studied something that is commerce related. I look for about 12 months work experience, preferably in a sales environment. If not, I want to sort of see that you have worked somewhere. And your CV should depict your interests. I want to see what are you interested in. I want to see who are your networks. More than I want to see your references. I want to see your networks. Who do you network with? So basically, we look at it's a minimum metric. You must have studied a commerce-related qualification after metric. If not, we can sort of see where it is that you fit in. But basically, that it's an advantage. It's not really a requirement.
Right.
12 months work experience, preferably in a sales environment. If not, I need to see your interests. What are you interested in? Where do you network? Basically, what have you done to put yourself in networks? Your cover letter should depict that very well. Okay. And we take it from there.
Okay, awesome. Now my CV is in. How long will I wait before I potentially get to meet you? What's the process from there on before I can get appointed as a financial advisor?
Okay, so I have a quick turnaround time. So 48 hours from the time I receive your CV, you will receive a call from me. If your CV meets what we are looking for, you will receive a call from me. And in that call, I sort of get a sense of you, who you are. Then I invite you to meet me for a meet and greet, just so that we can see if we are fit for each other, because that is very important. I need to sort of relay as much information about the industry and about the role as possible, so that by the time you make the decision to carry on and proceed with the recruitment process, that you are sort of aware of what it's about. Because there's a lot of information that is out there, but I think when I first meet my recruits, I sort of paint a clear picture of what to expect.
Oh, awesome. What are the things that may disqualify somebody from becoming a financial advisor?
Okay, so you may be disqualified if you've got a criminal record, if you've got bad credit, meaning that you've got defaults and judgments. You also may be disqualified if you are dishonest about your qualifications, because we do checks on that. And also if you've got a potential, a pending court case against you, which is criminal in nature, that you haven't disclosed to us. So those are the things that may disqualify you. Furthermore, if you have previous experience, and your previous experience is longer than 6 years, and you haven't obtained a qualification which is recognized under the FSCA Act, then you might potentially be disqualified for the time that you haven't obtained your qualification. Thereafter, you will have time to obtain your qualification by yourself. Then you can come back and reapply with us.
All right, excellent. Well, this has been an exciting time for me to be able to speak to you, Andisiwe, and the two other guests who have spoken about this exciting industry. So if you have further questions, please leave them in the chat below, and I'll also leave Andisiwe's email address in the description below. So if you think you've got what it takes, you are excited about embarking on a career as a financial advisor, please do so and get in contact with Andisiwe.
Yes, thank you, Zola. This has actually been very exciting.
Guys, I really hope you've enjoyed these interviews as much as I have, and you found value in this content. If you'd like to see more content like this, please consider subscribing to this channel and hit that notification bell. And if you have any suggestions in terms of content that you'd like me to put out in future videos, please leave them in the comment section below and look out for these videos.